Hi, folks. My name is J.M. Erlinson. I'm a transformation engineering lead here at Software AG and a specialist in the Eris platform. And today, we're going to be taking a look at another part of our admin series. Help, I'm an Eris admin, supporting your first Eris project or instance using Eris. Now, one of the things we've been doing all along this series has been creating a lot of content. So there's been different types of library models, different types of process models. But what we want to do is give people easy access to information. And the way we do that in Eris is through what we call entry models. Now, good question, what are entry models? Entry models are a fantastic way to allow people to easily and quickly get access to the key information that they want to see right off the bat. So a perfect example of that is you are going to select a few different one-click away sources of information people might need. And you're going to put them on a splash screen or an entry page that allows them to very easily get the information they need right off the bat. And let me give you an example of that. So I'm going to go over to my United Motor Group database, our example database we have in Eris. And you can see this is what the entry model looks like in this example. So you've got things of different colors. You've got different types of information called out, like organizational charts and IT systems and things like that, and processes. These are one click away from what those boxes indicate. So I'm looking for business processes. I double click on this, and it takes me quickly to my business process map. So it's a fast way of giving your users and your, just sort of your generally your community links into what they might need to go into. Now, we generally tend to include both information about reusable knowledge, so our libraries, as well as our dynamic knowledge, which is our process hierarchy. And to show you what that looks like, I'm going to go into Eris and create one for you. So we've been working in this demo database. We've got our library, our processes. We've got our couple of different libraries we're going to take a look at, linking in our application library and our organization library, which we worked on. And of course, our simple process and complicated process we've taken a look at in previous videos. So now at the very top level under main group, I'm going to create a new model. Now, what type of model am I creating? Well, there's something called a structuring model. The key about a structuring model is it contains specifically structuring objects, which are general catch-alls. So they allow you to assign those objects, so it's creating a linkage between that object and essentially any other type of lower level model. So I'm going to create my example entry model. And I'm going to the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use something that we haven't talked about yet, something called Fragment. So pretty handy to either create for yourself or to create for others. Fragments are just generally, anything you put on the page in Eris. You can select any number of those things. So let's say an example, I've placed a couple of objects. I can select any number of them, and I can choose to create a fragment of that. What that means is it's just, every time I click on this little fragment, it doesn't place one box, it places the three in that particular structure. Those are handy for two things. First, for creating structures in your model, and secondly, in this case, is for creating things like headers, which is one thing we're doing right now. So I'm going to use this model header. Now, the model header has on it, and this is going to be relevant not just for this, but a bunch of different things. Model header has it on it a bunch of text. The question is, where did that text come from? Well, that text is actually attributes of this particular model. It's the name, it's the time, the last change, it's the type of model. Notice if I change this name of the entry model, it's going to change up here as well. So you can see it's actually, we call attribute occurrence. So somebody has placed the attribute value on the page, and you can simply do that by left-click dragging. So now you see I've also placed example entry model. You can also change how it looks. So if, for instance, if you wanted example entry model to, if I double click on it, I can say, oh, I want it to have with its own attribute name. So it's going to say, oh, well, I want it to be name, : example entry model, just like you see here, the attribute name, then the attribute value. So that's what's been done on this nice header for us. So in the entry model, I'm going to add a header. I'm going to use like an existing logo that I have, like here's Software AG's logo. I'm going to go here and copy this logo. And then you see when I hit paste or Control V, or choose paste, my cursor becomes this little shape of I'm pasting some content in that it's trying to parse, and now you see this logo here. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller and place it up here. And I can hold control and use the arrow keys to just sort of nudge this around. So here, there we are. I made it sort of a software AG example entry model. And then underneath it, I'm going to place content. Remember I said we have 4 things. We have a simple process, we have a complicated process, we have 2 different types of libraries. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use a menu, once again, that's not that often used, but it's the insert menu. The insert menu allows me to insert freeform text, different types of sort of shapes that I can use. You already saw me insert a piece of a picture here. And you can see I can also use this to insert model attributes the same way I did by simply dragging from the information pane. In this case, I'm going to try and insert something that structures things. And so I'm actually going to insert a rounded square over here. I just happen to like how this looks. And underneath this rounded square, we're not actually adding objects. We're simply adding sort of formatting information. So I'm going to add some freeform text. And this is going to be processes. I don't care having to relate these things. I'm just making it look sort of pretty for my modelers. If I want, I can go to format. I can make this bigger, and I can make this centered, and I can do whatever I want. So under my processes, I can also change the shape. So for instance, I can double click on the shape. You see the properties for that graphic object. The rounding is a little too extreme. I'm going to reduce that rounding so it looks a little bit better, to 30. And I'm going to give it a nice thick border. And I like, for processes, I like selecting green. Let's make it a little bit of a nicer green here. Hit OK, and you see it's going to be, oh, processes. Perfect. Actually, I'm going to make this line even thicker. There we are. And then I'm going to add a couple structure elements underneath it. So it's, here's one, and if I'm holding the control button when I place an object, the next object I place, I can just continue to place objects as much as I want. So I'm going to call this my simple process, and I'm going to call this my complicated. And now I want to make these assignments to those simple and complicated processes. So I've got I'm going to open back up my navigation pane in the top right here, and I'm actually going to drag the model, left click drag, onto this object and create that assignment. So I'm now, if I were to double click on this simple process, or click on this here over on this model assignment icon, look, there it is. It's assigned to this particular lower level model. And I'll do the same thing with my complicated process, and you can see that I'm actually now starting to fill out all these things now. It'll open up these things as I want them, which is kind of convenient. Now, in the center, we talked about this before, the center of the house is really our process, but let's add some more stuff around the outside. So let's say on the right side, when I want to add another one of these nice boxes, I can add another one of our very nice boxes, or I can also, just because it's just formatting data, I can copy and paste what I already have. And copy and paste, Control C, Control V, my processes, and call it applications. And I'm going to do this again. Copy and paste this and call it organization. Although, to be fair, organization probably should exist on the top. Really the way that we normally lay out the house. We have sort of organization above everything else, and in the way that the house is structured. So I'll just do that for now. And I will put organization. There we are. So let's add application, and then I'll keep this here, and just in case we ever have a model for data. I'm also going to change the formatting so it's a little bit easier to take. So I'm going to turn these into sort of yellow, which is how I generally look at our organizations. And I'm going to turn this beauty over here into blue. Talking about applications. Now you can do this on any of the information. So I shall turn this into gray. You can do this on any of the formatting stuff. You can also do it on your objects. So for instance, if I wanted to double click on an object, one of the properties about it is object appearance. So not only can I select from a symbol that can take this, that this particular object type can take, but I can also choose fill color and line style. We'll talk about that a little bit more in templates, but this is something that I can modify if I'd like. And then of course I'm going to add my application over here. And you can see Eros actually has these sort of auto align supports. It's kind of it's just a generic tool that you might want to use. So I'm going to use application library. And I'm going to go over here and drag and drop my application library. And there we are, create that assignment. And you see, there we are, popped up. And organization, same thing over here. I'm going to put org chart. Org chart. And here we are, ding, create that assignment. And now I have created a basic, very basic entry model that I can use. So people coming in and now it'll now look a little bit easier for them to navigate to the things they want. They want to find the applications, they want to find the processes. This is a really good way of doing it. And I'm going to save this model. And in a subsequent video, we'll see how to use it. So thank you so much for your time. Once again, I'm J.M. Erlinson, and you're a wonderful audience. Please leave lots of feedback, comments, likes, shares, everything that makes sort of internet videos really work. If you've got some ideas for more videos, please let us know. We are making lots of series of things on how to use the Aris platform, how to get the best value out of it, and I'm always happy to get lots of feedback and folks who are really burgeoning Aris practitioners. So thank you so much for your time. We will see you in the next video.